Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome into another episode of the Players Pod. My name is Chris Richmond, and I'm currently a college baseball player. And on today's episode, I had the honor and the privilege of sitting down with the host of the minor league take and current pitcher in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, Brad Case. Now, in this episode, we go over everything from Brad starting at small time Division II Rollins College all the way to being drafted in the 17th round and to dropping his arm slot in AAA and basically making a huge career change and so much more. And I really hope you guys enjoy this episode and really take something from it. And as always, stay tuned for all the content that we have coming out. I really think y'all are going to enjoy this episode. And now to the episode with Brad Case.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's cool what you got going on here, and I think it's really fun to tell players stories and kind of give that perspective of how guys got to where they are.
Yeah, yeah, man. You've definitely had an interesting road, to say the least. Um,
Yeah,
you've really kind of defied the odds and really switched it up when nobody else really has, like switch up their arm slots and really had to have like a career resurgence. But I want to go back to where you started, like early little league ball, t-ball, coach pitch, whatever the case may be. What was it for you? Like, when did you start playing baseball? What made you fall in love with the game?
yeah. I mean, I've loved baseball my whole life. Like that was just something that my dad instilled in me. I grew up right outside New York City, so we were huge Yankee fans, and I remember being young and just every year like, oh yeah, the Yankees win the World Series every year. Like that's what's supposed to happen at the end of October. And then I remember specifically in 2001 when they lost it to the Diamondbacks in Game 7. I remember the next morning being like, all right, so we won, right? And my dad was like, no, buddy, we lost the World Series. I was like, we're Yankee fans. We're always supposed to win, which I
Yeah.
know is the worst thing to hear for other baseball fans. But like that's kind of how my perspective was as a kid. And then I loved baseball ever since then, and just always growing up loving the game. My earliest memories are of me and my dad in my front yard playing wiffle ball and trying to hit the ball. I remember there's this tree at the other side of our yard, and I would always try to hit the tree as far as I can.
So,
But then, yeah, I always loved it. And then, kind of growing up, I was always a kid that was better, especially in our little league and playing travel ball. Like I was a kid that was always pretty good. But then it's funny enough, like when I was 8, when I was 9, and when I was 10, I was the last out to end the season and to end the championship game every year. Like I got put into a lot of positions where I was like, hey, I could be the hero right now, and I ended up being the guy that lost it for us.
yeah. Yeah.
And it
So,
was it was tough. It was tough then, but even then, like I had to sit down and kind of say, like, all right, I want to work harder at this. And when I was 11 and 12, I was much better and had a lot of fun doing it. And then those memories from being 10, 11, 12, playing Pelham travel baseball in New York, like the friends that I made from that, I'm still friends with today, and that's probably the biggest reason why I have such a deep love for baseball.
awesome, man. So you're playing little league ball, you're playing with your friends, whatever. Playing pony ball, but basically you're growing up, you love the game, but like you're kind of sucking actually. Like you're just kind of like put in these like horrible positions where you're just like, I can't catch a break. So going into like middle school and high school, like was playing in college like kind of one of those things you wanted to do, or was it like I'll stop playing after high school, like this isn't a reality, or what was that like?
Yeah. It wasn't really on my radar too much. I remember being like 13 and looking at my friends and being like, "Hey, if I played professional baseball, what position do you guys think I would play?" They were all like, I remember the looks on their faces like, "This is a stupid question. First base. I don't know. Shut up, dude. Like
Yeah,
this is a dumb question."
yeah,
And I remember being like, yeah, all right, they're probably right. I'm probably not going to play anywhere. Like, it's incredibly hard to make it to the next level. And as I kept growing older and playing more, I wasn't that good of a hitter. But then I get to, eighth grade comes around and I'm looking at our high school and I'm like, I don't want to go to Pelham High School. Like we have a terrible baseball program. No one's known for getting out of that place. Like I want to go to somewhere better. So I found Iona Prep, which is this school in New Rochelle, which is right down the road. And they had a great baseball program. So I applied, got in, and my sole focus was just to be on the baseball team that year. And it's funny enough, I remember being at tryouts, scared as hell, like really hoping I make the team, doing everything I can, running hard, throwing hard, doing everything, kind of being one of those like try hard guys, just a
Yeah.
little too much.
Yeah.
And the kid I'm playing catch with looks at me and goes, Brad, I think we're both going to make the team. You can relax now. And the kid was Mariano Rivera's son.
Wow. Holy
Yeah, it was cool.
wow.
It was funny, like just going to high school with him. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I made the high school team, and well, we had freshman baseball, JV baseball, and then varsity.
Okay.
I was okay.
Yeah.
I was never anyone that was like blowing people away with the stuff. Like I was a big kid who threw hard, but really didn't know too much of where it was going or anything. And then uh, my junior year, they look at me to like help out a little bit, but I was more of like the gangly tall kid that could throw hard. Bring me out
Yeah.
once a week to throw hard and kind of have some fun, but it wasn't anything that was the team knew that they weren't gonna like look to me for anything big.
Yeah.
So my senior year comes around and we had this one kid, great dude, Luke Maldonado. He was supposed to be like our guy for
Yeah.
my class, and he got hurt, needed Tommy John, and wasn't going to be available to pitch. So they kind of looked at me. They were like, "Hey, Brad, like
Want to
you're
pitch?
going to have to be the guy." And
Yeah.
I came out and I stepped up and did my job, and had a great senior year. And at that point, I was already committed to. I committed to a small D2, literally because I thought I would never play pro ball. I thought the whole point was like,
To go to
hey,
college.
let's just go, sneak in a good education, get out of there, and get a good job.
Yeah.
But my senior year goes really well, and I do great. I win MVP for New York City in the Catholic League,
No big deal.
and then I started kind of I started building some
Big
confidence from
deal.
there.
Just like
Yeah.
so Iona Prep. So they're a basketball school too. That's what I've heard. Like they're a main, like huge basketball school. Am I right? Or am I totally off base?
Yeah, we got some. Yeah, we got some guys that have made it to the NBA from there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think they've gotten better too at basketball. I think all these sports there are getting crazy now because there is constantly football kids that are coming into big schools. Baseball kids are throwing 95 plus there now. It's insane.
Yeah.
So all
So
these sports are saying,
yeah, of course, man. So the big time sports. So you're able to go back as an alum and be like, hey, like I built this. Like, like
yeah,
built this somehow, some way. But pretty much, man, so like you're going through, high school baseball, like trying to get to college and you commit to Rollins. So like for y'all that don't know, like Rollins is in Florida, literally is like beautiful down there. Like I think it's Winter Park, right?
oh yeah, it's a beautiful campus. Yep,
So like
yep.
you're a Northeastern kid, like I'm sure you know this now being in pro ball, like a lot of Northeastern kids don't get the love that they deserve. Like there's a lot of talent up there,
Yeah.
but like there's a bias against y'all for whatever reason. Did you feel that? Like when you were going through the recruiting process, like oh why is it Wagner coming to my games? Why isn't St. John's coming to my game? Like that sort of stuff. Why am I not getting all these looks that I should be getting or feel that I should be getting?
I mean, to be fair, my junior year wasn't that good. Like I was very eh.
Uh,
Like you could see I was tall, and you could see I was gonna maybe throw hard one day,
yeah.
but there was no all those D1 schools by me. Like I wouldn't have come sky to me either, probably. Um,
Yeah.
especially that's during the high school season. Like I wasn't doing anything impressive worth coming
Yeah.
out to,
Yeah.
but when my senior year was much better. At that point, I was already committed. But that summer of doing the circuits of
Yeah.
going down to Perfect Game, going out to tournaments in like Richmond, Virginia, or Louisville, Kentucky, or like all these different places. It made sense and it worked out well. And I threw much better then. But during that summer, I kind of had like a couple of options of like where I want to go, and it was I mean, I had Rollins, I had University of South Alabama,
Yeah.
I had
Ooh,
some
D1.
some D3s, I had some D1s. I kind of had all over the map, and then what I kind of like earlier, what I kind of figured, like, hey, take the best education, run with it, and go from there.
Yeah.
I truly thought when I was, accepting that commitment to Rollins that I'm doing this because I'm never going to play pro ball. If I thought I was going to play pro ball, if that was my true dreams and hopes,
Yeah.
they were my dreams and hopes. But like, if I thought that was a reality, I probably would have gone to South Alabama. Things would have been different. Like they literally have a thing at their campus, at their baseball field, where it's like a plaque of everybody that goes there and
Yeah.
gets drafted. So it's a
Yeah.
very big part of the culture there.
Yeah. So senior year reps, you're going to Rollins, so that must have been a culture shock, right? Like, I mean, unless you've been to Florida a couple times or maybe you spent a lot of time down there, was there like a culture shock when you got down south and you were just like, what is all this hospitality? Why are people opening doors for me? Why are they saying yes, sir?
People do that in New York. People aren't that scary in New York.
I beg to differ, but you know, but like, so
Well,
you're,
you spent some time in Sag Harbor, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I played in that league before. I love that
Really?
league.
What?
Yeah, I played on the Montauk Mustangs before. I played in there last year.
Oh my God. Small world.
Yeah,
Oh, geez.
yeah, dude. Yeah, Sag
The
Harbor people are. Yeah, those people are gonna be mean to you.
yeah. My host family
Yeah,
was
that town is.
my
What
host
about your host family?
my host family was great. I actually got to stay with our coach. So yeah, and he had
Oh my god,
he had a hot tub, pool, the whole deal. But yeah,
that's sick.
people were over there were interesting to say the least. Like I loved it. I loved being up there, but Lord, like we got used to passing like Bentleys and Ferraris and Lamborghinis.
Yeah,
I'm like, Jesus Christ, what are y'all like? What? But so you're going into your freshman year at Rollins. And so when did you get on campus? Like, were you an early enrollee or were you thinking that route or something? Like, I know a lot of guys that they want to get on campus and get familiar and things like that.
I was just excited to get out of my house. Like that's the only thing I was thinking about. Like I was just like, all right, bye, mom, bye, dad, see you later. Like get in the car, go
Yeah,
away. Like that was
yeah,
kind of how my mindset
yeah,
was.
yeah. So
It was fun. I mean, we had a great time. We had a good group of guys my freshman year. Most of us stuck, most of us stayed there through the 4 years. I mean, although I left after three, but yeah, it was a good group. We had some really good leaders on that team, and I always like to tell this story because of how much of an effect it had on me in my life. There was a guy there named Chris Corbett. Chris was a junior when I was a freshman. He was a great dude, funny. He was the starting catcher, good looking dude, like just outstanding charisma, was the best. And there was two instances that have really changed my life. The first one was we had like team running. We're out there doing our running, and we finish up. And then he's like, "Hey, Brad, like, why don't you stay out here for a second? I want to just talk to you a little bit." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure. Like, what's up? What's up, Chris?"
yeah.
And we're sitting there just like stretching, talking a little bit. And he's like, "What's your goal for this year?" And I'm like, I don't make the team." Because we had a JV team, and I was like, dude, I don't want to be on freaking JV.
I played against that JV team. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
really? Oh, yeah, I'm sure at Inspiration. Yeah.
I played against them, and let's just say I'll just put this hot take out there. College JV teams are eyewash, and they are horrible for kids
Yeah.
that actually want to pursue the game. That's my hot take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it worked nicely for us because like we could send guys on our varsity to go down there to go get some innings and try to work on some stuff if they needed to, to tweak some things. I thought it worked well for that. Um, but yeah, I found out we had a JV, and I was just my whole goal was to not be on the JV. That was
Yeah.
the only thing I was focused on.
Yeah. So he's
And
talking to you and doing all this.
yeah,
So
and he's like, "What's your goal?" I'm like, "Not make JV." And he's like, "Come on, that can't be your goal." I'm like, "I don't know." I was like, "All right, fine. I want to be the closer. Like that'd be cool." He's like, "No, come on, you gotta aim higher than that." I was like, "All right, sure. Like I want to be the Friday night guy. Like that would be the best thing possible." He's like, "Great," and I want to throw 90 miles an hour because I never broke 88 up to that point, 87 up to that point. Like that was the hardest I'd ever thrown. And he was like, "All right, good. Those are your two goals. Write those down." And then by the end of the year, I was sitting 91, and I was our Saturday guy. And I was like, "Damn, this is turned out a lot better than what I had hoped." And this is all because Chris told me to kind of believe in myself and give myself some goals. And then the other time he really changed my life was when I'm in the gym working out, and he comes in, sees me, he's like, "Hey, what's up, Brad? What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing, just get my lift." He's like, "All right, cool. What are you doing later?" I was like, "Nothing. What's up? Like, you want to hang out? Like, I want to. I'll do something.
yeah,
Let's go get pizza. Let's go get a beer. What do you
yeah,
want to do?" And he's like, "Oh, great. You're not doing anything. Perfect. I have Bible study later at 8 o'clock. You're coming." And I was just like, "What? Or what are we doing?" And I had gone to Catholic high school. Like, it was important to me, but it wasn't the
yeah.
most important thing. But he's like, "No, come on, you're going to Bible study." So I was like, "Sure, okay, sounds good." And before I know it, I'm going to Bible study twice a week, and I'm going to church on Sundays. And yeah, being religious has been pretty big part of my life ever since then. And whenever I do get a chance to talk to him, I thank him for pushing me in that direction, and it's really done a lot for me.
Now has the religion aspect, because I'm a Christian, but I love asking people, of
Nice.
different religions and different faiths, like how has that helped you maintain your sanity in this game? Like, because it's not, I mean, it's nuts. Like us as pitchers, like everything can really be going smoothly, and then like you're cruising along and you're 6 innings and you have maybe 2 hits, maybe 1 hit, whatever, and then dude pimps a homer off you and you're looking up like, wow, there's 4 runs up on the board. What do I do now? So how has that helped you maintain your sanity?
It helps remind me that, like, as much as I love baseball and as much fun it is, and as good as I want to be at it, it really doesn't matter. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
this is all very, this is a fun life to live and everything. But what matters is more importantly, like, who you are as a person, how you treat your teammates, how you treat the fans, how you treat your coaches, the way you give your time to everybody else.
Yeah.
I would love to go out there and never give up a hit again. I would love to strike out the world, but it's not the most important thing. It's more important um, to be a good servant to others and a good student to what's important in life, and that has always kind of helped me out. And then I've had a couple times in my life, in my baseball career, where I pray to God. I'm like, "Hey, like I need a little bit of help here," and that I just need a little bit of help, and then God has come through every single time I've ever asked Him for anything.
There you go. There you go. I know a couple guys that their faith is, and I'm one of them. Like my faith has always kind of been a very important thing to me. Um, and it's always been something I leaned on, but I never wanted to push on other people, just because most baseball guys are kind of tough and rowdy, and they give off this like manly man type deal, and they don't want to let anybody see them vulnerable or whatever. And it's kind of like a touchy subject. I mean, and it's religion, but I think the good
Yeah,
Lord Jesus Christ has given us gifts, and it's amazing that we can throw 90 or throw from a 10 o'clock slot and not break your elbow in half, Uh,
yeah,
but going into college, so like you have that moment and everything, everything seems to be like, oh my God, like, wow, this is a lot. I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do? But so when did it all kind of click? I love asking guys that made it to the next level, to the professional level, when it all clicked. Like, when did you know, like, hey, I've kind of got like something here. I don't know what the heck it's gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen.
yeah,
When did it click for you? Like, was it seeing what was it seeing a scout walk in the store? Was it seeing, hey, I got a questionnaire from MLB.com or the MLB or whatever? I don't know how all this stuff works. I've never gotten one,
yeah.
unfortunately. So, Yeah. So what was that moment?
So I talk about this on my podcast a lot. It's called the if to when moment. Like if I get drafted, if I throw hard enough, if
Yeah.
all these things come together, and then all of a sudden it turns into when, like, oh, when I get drafted, when
Yeah.
this happens, when I get called in the 17th round, whatever. Like when you stop thinking in the if mindset and start thinking in the when mindset. It's a great moment. I love to talk to guys about it, and most of the guys that I had on my podcast kind of just go, I don't know. Like it's kind of happens. Like you don't even think about it. But there are sometimes when guys can point to that moment. And for me, it was when I was in that Hamptons League. We had our All-Star game,
Ooh.
and and I remember sitting on the bench during one of our games, and I see that we have an All-Star game. I didn't even know we had one. And I look at my coach, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like who are we sending? And he looks at me. He's like, you're leading the league in ERA wins and strikeouts, Brad. You're going. I was like, oh, cool. I didn't even wasn't even on my radar. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
And it's cool enough too, because that All-Star game had a lot of big league talent.
Yeah.
It had JoJo Gray, Reese Neer, what's his name? Palacios. He
Richie
kicks the
Palacios?
crap out of me every time I see him.
Richie,
Not Richie. Richie's with the Pirates.
Talking about Josh?
Oh wait, no, yeah, you're sorry. You're right. Right, Richie. Yeah, Richie was at that game. Josh is on our team. I kept.
Yeah. Oh, you're good.
Yeah, Pilo. I honestly, in my head, I call Josh Pilo, so that's just his nickname. But yeah, like there was all this big league talent there. But in that moment, I'm like, oh, cool. Like we're going to the All-Star game. Like this will be fun. And we get there, and I see. So remember how I said I could have gone to Pelham High School?
Yeah.
I see the varsity Pelham coach at the game, and I'm like, Plunkett, like Mr. Plunkett, what are you doing here? Like, this is a summer league all-star game. Like, why are you here? He's like, oh, I'm actually helping out one of my buddies that's a scout for the White Sox. I'm like, scout for the White Sox? What are you talking about? Like, yeah, like there's scouts that are gonna be here. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's
At a Hamptons
Fred,
League.
look behind home plate. Who do you think's yeah, or it was at baseball heaven, and I've been there a million times as like a 15-year-old, and he goes, yeah, look behind home plate. And I look, and there's like 25 scouts there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a scouting event? Like it didn't even occur to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no idea. And I was like, this is going to be phenomenal. I go out there, I throw the ninth inning, and it goes really well. And but that moment I started realizing like, oh shit, like we're on the map. Like this is a possibility. So I was all fired up and all jacked up for it. And then from then on, I really started being like, wow, this is actually something that's possible to happen to.
Yeah. So you start seeing all those scouts, and
Yo, what is going on, guys? If you guys haven't heard, we have launched a Patreon. Yes, a Patreon. If you guys want to click the link in the bio or on any of my socials, you guys can donate anywhere from $1 to $20 to $200. Anything and everything is appreciated. It will definitely help us out here at the Players Pod, and anything you donate will be going towards helping us out. So again, guys, if you guys want to hit that link in the bio or hit the link in any of my socials, that would be greatly appreciated. And now let's get back into the episode.
Yeah. So like you're there and you're at this All-Star game. Like, did you go to the bullpen to vomit or what? Like, were you just thinking like, man, I am picking in front of so many scouts. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, did that moment go through your head, or were you like, oh, I got this? Like, don't worry. Like, I'm gonna sit everybody down because I know everybody's different.
I knew I was cocky. I knew I had it. That summer I felt really good. I kind of, for whatever reason, like just knew how to pitch that summer, and like I knew how to. I don't know I really can't describe it, like, or even how the way I thought about my mechanics, because I just threw. Yeah. I threw hard and I threw well, and I threw the ball where I wanted to with some good velo and good off speed stuff. It was fun because I remember getting to that league too, and everyone's a D1 guy, and I'm like, oh yeah, I go to a D2 in Rollins College, and they're like, I remember like my teammates being like, oh whatever, all right, you suck, like you're not going to be that good, and I was just like, what? Like I can do. I'm like, I'll fucking show you all. Like I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck that I'm a D2 kid. I'll fuck you up. And
Yeah,
I pitched great that summer, and I
yeah.
used that edge to help me throughout the whole year, and it worked really well for me. A lot
And
of guys talk about like if they want to be calm, like in their head, like no, like I am a psycho out there. There's a full on war going on in my head, and that's when I'm at my best.
so are you the guy that like nobody talks to? You the guy that like nobody talks to before games?
When I was a starter, yeah, I mean like everyone pretty much left me alone. When I mean, now that I'm a bullpen guy, I've been a bullpen guy for the past 4 years now. So like,
Different.
you're kind of just sitting there chilling.
It's different.
Yeah.
Way different.
It's very different, and it took me a second to adjust to it, but once you do, you can figure it out. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but
Yeah.
like it's once you make mistakes, then you know to not make them anymore. Like
Yeah.
hey, don't blow your arm out in throwing program. You got to save. You might have to pitch tonight. You have to save it for the
Yeah.
game, and then okay, you can't lob it all day, every single day this week because then when you actually have to pitch, then you feel like shit and you don't have it in there. Like it's a
Yeah.
very yin yang balance. You have to kind of learn to grow and develop.
So going back to it was like all-star game. So you're there, like, are you coming off the field after you pitch and be like, I'm gonna have something after the game, I'm gonna check my phone, have a text, call, or are you just going up to this guy being like, hey, like what'd you think? Or how did that go? Like what happened from
I
there?
didn't, yeah, I didn't really think about it too much. I just was like, all right, well, they're gonna like record this and they're gonna take their notes and whatever. My parents were at the game because I don't live too far from baseball heaven. Do you know what baseball heaven is in Long
Uh,
Island?
I know of it. I didn't get to go there. Collins. And so you're going into fall. Like, are you changing anything up? Or are you just keeping doing the whole thing? Or are you still having the same mindset of like, hey, I'm the best, like I can do this? Or are you just
Uh, I wouldn't say like I had the mindset of like I'm the best. Like I just had the mindset of like, hey, that Friday night spot is open. Like I can go out there and take it. I just need to like go out there and do my job and throw strikes, throw my breaking ball, and do everything I need to do. And then we actually got a coach there who was a volunteer assistant when he was there, Rob Marcello. And if you look at Rob Marcello now, he's now the pitching coordinator for the San Diego Padres minor leagues.
so he's a
And
GA. He's a
huh?
he's basically a GA. He's basically
What's a
a
G?
like a
Oh,
grad.
grad assistant. Yeah. He's just a volunteer assistant. Yeah.
Jesus.
So I got to work with him. That was phenomenal. I got really great. You know, got to work with him a decent amount, and that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we, for whatever reason, one day is just like, hey, you kind of have a motion like I do not have a motion like Nolan Ryan, but he just threw it out there. I was like, okay. And I went to this big like overhead windup, and
Yeah.
that was a huge unlock for me. I started doing that, and I was sitting like 2 to 4 with a banger, and
Okay.
no idea how it even happened.
So
Um,
you're sitting 82, 84 at this point, or 92, 94.
92,
Okay.
92, 94. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sitting 92, 94 as like a 6'7", 200 pound kid and like
You
super skinny.
you're
And
you basically were a scout's dream back then. Every
yeah, well, it's funny because they all told me like how skinny I was, like I need to gain weight.
yeah.
And then the next summer I was like, sure, I'll gain weight. And I gained, I think I was eating like 5 to 6,000 calories a day. And I gained like 20 pounds in a month and a half. It was horrible,
Jeez.
but like I gained the weight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but my sophomore year goes really well. I start the year killing it. I win like the first like 4 or 5 games I throw. I'm crushing everybody. Um, I get a little too confident. The next 4 to 5 games are horrible. I'm like, this is a fucking mess. Like my arm is killing me. I need a break. I tell my coach like, hey, I need a week off. Like I'll miss this start, but I'll be back for next week. Like I just need a break. They give it to me. And through 10 weeks of the season, I had 40 through 10 weeks of the season, I had 55 strikeouts and 18 walks. In the last 5 games of the year, I had 45 strikeouts and 2 walks. So I punched out like 102 or something like that for the year and only had like 20 walks. And that span of time is what put me on a map to be drafted. And I think if I was draft eligible back then, I probably would have gone. And I think I'd probably at least the 10th round I would have gone. But I wasn't eligible, so
Yeah.
it is what it is. But
Yeah.
that stretch of time right there, I really kind of credit to like the reason why I got drafted, because my junior year wasn't that like that astounding. I got drafted my junior year because of how big I was and because of who I used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So that season ends. You ended on a great note. So that's your junior year, right? So your junior year, are you thinking like I can kind of do it, but like I'm not there yet? Or are you trying to add velocity? Or so what was your off-season plan going into your last year?
I went and played summer ball again. I went to the Cape for like 2-3 weeks. I was just on a temp contract there. Do that, and then I wanted to keep playing for. I don't know. Looking back, I probably should have. I probably should have just gone to train somewhere and try to work on some stuff. But instead, I went to the NECBL, played in the New Bedford Bay Sox, and that was a scary experience.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
my
man.
first game there, I'm on the mound and it's in the hood,
Yeah.
and I'm pitching, and I literally stop in the middle of the third inning. I'm like, "Yo, what was that?"
Yeah.
And I hear gunshots and tires screeching, and there's a fucking drive-by shooting, and I'm like, "Yo, what is happening?" And I look at my coach. I'm like, "Yo, are we good?" And my coach was a cop in the town. He goes, "Yeah, you're good. Keep pitching, dude."
Jeez, man.
What the fuck is going on? It
Oh,
was
don't
crazy.
worry. I'm gonna have to clip that, but I'll bleep it out. Don't worry.
Sounds good. Sounds good. But yeah,
Don't
it
worry.
was kind of wild pitching that league. I definitely wish I went somewhere and like tried to develop a little bit more, but
Yeah,
it is what it is. Yeah, it was a good experience, but
it
it
is
wasn't
what.
anything too crazy.
Yeah. So you get done pitching in the hood and pitching at the NECBL. So you get done there and you head back to school. Are you thinking like this year I get drafted, this year I get signed, this year kind of where I make that transition? Or are you thinking like, okay, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So what's your mindset going into that?
I put a lot of pressure on myself to get drafted that year. I was a little too much in my own head. I think I put a little too much stress on it. Because I really wanted to go play pro ball. Like I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had a lot of teammates that they knew how badly I wanted it and they were trying to help me as well. Um, but I think at the end of the day, I just got too much into my own head about it. It was just like way overthinking it.
Yeah.
Um, and then I got to start doing some meetings with scouts and stuff in the fall, and that was exciting. That was really that was kind of crazy because I remember like being at like Starbucks with like the Indian scouts and like these people that I'm in class with are walking by and they're like they like see me the next day like Brad, who the hell are you meeting with? I'm like, no one, nothing. Like I'm trying to play it off cool.
It's an internship for
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I told
it's
them I was like,
an internship.
it's Major League Baseball scout, and they were like, what? So
Yeah.
it was fun, and it was just funny too because like Rollins is not like a big athletic school.
Yeah.
Like we were, I think a lot of people that didn't know that I was hoping to get drafted were, I think they all kind of were like, oh yeah, that sounds great, buddy.
That
Like
was
they were
nice.
like talking to me like I'm a little kid. Yeah, they're like, oh, what isn't that sound like fun to be a baseball player? All right, good luck with that.
Oh,
Like,
Lord Jesus above, you know this all too well. I'm going through that right now with the portals. So yeah,
yeah,
it's nuts when I tell people like, hey, I want to get my master's paid for with baseball. They're like, oh, that's great. When do you graduate? And I'm like, October because my school shut down. Yay, love that.
yeah, it's tough.
So, yeah, but they don't really get it. So at the end of the day, you just gotta be like, hey, like you don't know my plans. Like I'm not gonna tell you how to do your job as a doctor or a lawyer or electrician. Um, so you're meeting with all these scouts. Like, what is your like baseball outlook? Are you like, okay, like yeah, I'm the guy, like but now you kind of are the guy, right? Like you're meeting with scouts, you're doing stuff that not many people get to say they do, and then you go out in the fall, and what happens? Like what happens from there? You're meeting with all these scouts, and are they pulling up
Um,
football scrimmages or what?
yeah, they're showing us to some stuff. We had a pro day that was always cool. It wasn't anything too crazy. It was more like they knew who I was. They knew I had to go out. I knew I had to go out there in the spring and perform well, and get the outs I needed to get. But it wasn't too big of a pressure in the fall. I knew I just because I thrown 100 innings in the spring, and then I threw another, I don't know, 40-ish, 50-ish in summer ball. So like I had thrown plenty of innings up to that point for the year, so I didn't really do too much. But yeah, and then I mean my junior year was the year, and then our rotation going into that year was me. I get drafted by the Pirates. My buddy got drafted by the Rockies. My other buddy got drafted by the Pirates as well. Our bullpen arms were an Astros draft pick, a Phillies free agent sign, and a kid that played independent baseball from the side as a sidearm guy. So like we had phenomenal arms, like up and down. Um, we just ran into a rut. Um, we got swept one weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and we were kind of down. And then a kid, part of our JV program, actually took his own life, and that kind of just derailed a lot of things and made things really hard on all of us. And like I'm not gonna pretend like me and him were close buddies. Like I would say hi to him. I would
Yeah,
try to get him to hang out with us, but it was a pretty big shock when it did happen.
yeah,
And it was it quickly became no one wanted to like be at the field. Like it was sad.
yeah.
Um, and it hurt the team just as a focus standpoint. So that I think that kind of is really what hurt us go throughout the rest of the year. I think we lost like college seasons are what 50 games, right?
Yeah, 50 or
I
60.
think we lost like 19 in a row at one point,
Jeez.
and we had good players.
Yeah,
We just lost focus.
that's understandable. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
can't begin. Like, did y'all ever think about like canceling the season at that point?
No, we got offered to cancel a series, and we were like, no, let's go play. Like, let's just um, we're like, let's go out there and play for Brennan
Yeah.
and try to do something. And we ended up just like losing more and more and more, and it was just it spiraled quickly.
Yeah, and that conference is no joke. I mean, the Sun is, or it is the Sun, right? The Sun Conference.
Sunshine State
Yeah,
Conference, yeah.
Sunshine State. That's no joke. I mean, it's
No,
if you know Division II baseball. I mean, Tampa, Rawlings. I mean, Tampa's been a juggernaut for years, and they low key are a D1 school that's has a moniker of Division II, but
yeah, they're
they're D1.
basically they're transfer you. They just bring in everybody, and
Yeah,
they're pretty they're pretty unbelievable every
yeah,
year.
yeah. So you're going through that, and you're. I almost died. I almost fractured my ACL. So you're going through that, and like, you're going through your senior season, y'all lose 19 straight because of a traumatic event, rightfully so. I mean,
Yeah.
geez, that's insane. You're the first person I've ever talked to that's ever had that happen. So after your season, are you looking to like, hey, like I want to go play pro ball, or are you like, hey, I want to go work, or are you still hearing from scouts, or are you hearing from agents? What are you hearing?
So yeah, so this was all my junior year.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. All right,
Yeah,
so junior year.
yeah. So this is all my junior year. So I knew I had put it up with like a good enough a year where like I knew it was the end.
Yeah,
Um, and I go home and I sit there and I wait and I fucking pray and
yeah,
freak out and I'm absolutely losing my mind. And my dad, I love my dad so much, but he's going around the town being like, "Yeah, Brad's getting drafted this year. Brad's getting drafted." I'm like, "Dad, shut up."
Yeah.
Because my biggest fear was that I tell everyone I'm getting drafted, and then I don't get drafted because I would have felt like the dumbest person in the world.
Yeah.
So he's all excited, and then my agent tells me like, "Hey, day 2 is a possibility. It's probably gonna be day 3. Like that's just the reality of it. Like we see you as a day 3 guy, so like just kind of sit tight, and we'll see what happens." Then day 3 comes around, and the draft starts, and my laptop's out, and I'm watching. And I'm sitting there, and my parents are like, "Do you want to have people over? Do you want to have like a big party? Like, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I want fucking no one here. Like, I'm freaking out right now. I don't want to see a goddamn person in this house. Like, I am not doing well." And I was freaking out, and I watched for like I think 2 rounds, and I shut my laptop, and I'm like freaking out, and I didn't expect to get taken in like the 11th or 12th, but I was just sitting there, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna lose my mind. And the Blue Jays text me, and they go, "How does 125 sound for the signing bonus?" I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I sent it to my agent. I'm like, "Yes, say yes." And we're like, "All right, cool." And then the Mets reach out, and they're like, "How's 75 sound?" And I'm like, me and my agent talked about it, and like we had a number, and we're both like, "No." I'm like, "Say no." And I'm like, I said no, and I was like, "Oh my god, what did I do? Did I just screw this up? Like, am I gonna get cut now?" I'm absolutely not that I'm going to get cut. Like, am I not going to get signed now at all? And I'm just freaking out about it. And then my agent calls me and goes, "Hey," or no, the Pirates scout calls me, who I had a good relationship with, calls me and goes, "Hey, we're going to take you with our next pick." I go, "Okay, sounds good." And my dad looks at me, and the whole time my dad has no idea what is happening. I am doing this all on my own. My dad looks at me and goes, "Hey, what was that phone call?" I go, "Nothing."
Wow.
I go, "Don't worry about it." I pull out my laptop and start watching again, and I look at my little brother, who's like 2 years younger than me, and I whisper to him like, "Hey, Will, like Pirates are taking me with their next pick." And he's like, "Oh shit!" And he takes it. I didn't even notice him do it, but he takes his camera out and hits record, and like he captures the moment where I get drafted, and I like point to my parents on the screen. And I go, "Look," and it says my name, Brad K is drafted like number like 500th overall or something like that. And my mom was like, "Oh my God." She starts screaming. My dad comes over, he starts screaming, and it's like it was a phenomenal moment. It
Awesome.
was cool.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely will definitely be a moment you don't forget, considering you shut the laptop. Like you
Yeah,
shut the
I was
laptop
freaking out. I
and
was I was
Jesus.
bugging out.
I mean, and in today's draft, you're not even gonna pick. Like there's I
No,
mean,
I was in the 17th round, so I would have still been picked.
oh, I thought they shortened it down to 10.
No, it's 20.
Oh, what? Oh, I
Yeah.
thought it was 10. I thought it was 10. My bad. Whatever. 10, 20. It makes me sad for smaller school guys because those guys aren't getting picked. Unless
Yeah.
unless they're studs and put up extremely good numbers.
So if there's one episode I tell everyone to watch on my podcast, it's the Joe Jakes episode.
Yeah, I watched it.
Because dude, that one's like one of my favorite stories because he was my roommate in 2019, and he debuted with the Red Sox
Yeah.
last year, and now he's in the big leagues with the Diamondbacks. Like,
But I'm a Red Sox fan, so I knew him when he came up. So
nice,
I
nice.
knew him. So you get drafted and like, are you on cloud nine? Like, are you just like, what do I do? Like, do I go get a bunch of Pirates hats? Like, do I just go get a bunch of pirate stuff for my family? Or what's the next step after that? Like, are you talking to your agent? Are you talking to your family mostly or what?
Yeah, my agent and the scout called. Like, I celebrate with my family. My agent and my scout called me, like, "Hey, congratulations! So excited for this to happen. We'll let you know what's going to happen next." And I go, "Sounds good." But I'm sitting there happy with my family. I'm serious. Maybe it was 6 whole seconds. And then immediately you realize, like, however much work you had done to that point just to get drafted, you now have to do twice of that just to get through the minor leagues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because back then when I got drafted, there was rookie ball, advanced rookie, short A, low A, high A, double A,
Some way,
triple A,
some
and
way.
then the show.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, I just gotta get drafted and now I'm in the league. Like I've been drafted. Now I gotta fight every motherfucker to get to the top of this.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And everyone's gonna fight even harder.
Yeah. Because I mean,
take every advantage that they can. Because it's the mountains that is.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Oh, there we go. We lagged for a second. But it's all good.
Yeah, we're back. We're
yeah,
back.
it's probably that hotel Wi-Fi, huh? It's probably that hotel Wi-Fi. So you get drafted. Now you're off to rookie ball, I would assume, right? So you're off to rookie ball. What was that like?
That was horrible. That was that was the same place that I'm at right now. I'm actually in I'm at the complex and I got sent to the GCL. And I shit you not, the first day I'm here, I'm the only American.
Okay.
The group of guys that I signed with, when I signed with, they all got sent to short A. They were like higher they're all like top 10 round picks.
Yeah.
They all got to go to Morgantown, like to a college town, to have fun and have a great time and like go play baseball there. I got sent here to be up at 6 a.m. every day, practice at 7:30. You're playing in the Florida heat at 12 o'clock every day. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's no joke.
No one speaks English. Like it's tough.
Yeah.
And we had that I got drafted in June. I got here probably the middle of June sometime, right? Yeah, sometime in the middle of June. And then I did that until I think the middle of August, probably.
Okay.
And then I got sent when Chris Archer. Remember that Chris Archer trade? Because that trade happened, we got rid of some starting pitchers, so I got to move up. I went to Bristol for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Did that, pitched really well there, and then went to short A to end the year. So I ended up catching up with the guys that I had been drafted with, and then I was just back into the rat race of I was happy that I got promoted twice my first year, and then it was a grind though. It was a lot of work.
I bet. So and obviously because you're a 12th round guy, right? So you're not really at an advantage compared, financially and round wise when you get drafted because you got all these guys that are top 10 round picks. So you're just having to work twice as harder because let's face it, they're bonus babies and they've got, all this sort of stuff. And maybe the organization loves them more or whatever the case may be.
Well, to shed a little bit of light on that, like it does make sense. Like these guys went to their bosses and said, "Hey, this guy is worth the money that we're going to pay." They're incentivized to make sure that investment pays off.
Exactly.
Like if they signed Chris Richmond for $1,000 and they signed prospect A for that's nice.
Yeah. So so you get into the minor league system. And I think, as I've talked to a lot of people that are in professional baseball that are in the minors of the MLB, they start saying double A is really when it hits. Double A is when you either find out if you can play or if you're going to be selling insurance soon. So was that really where it hit for you, or was it triple A, or how did that go?
So 2021, we lose 2020 due to COVID. I come back 2021 and I caught COVID right before spring training starts.
Okay.
And then I get in late because the testing issues and all this stupid COVID bullshit that I can't believe we still were scared of in the first place. We go through all that. I finally get into camp and I've only been here for like 2.5, 3 weeks at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, like I'm ready to go. Like you can send me wherever, like I'll be fine. And they are like, well, we're actually going to send you to extended because like we want you to build up a little bit more. they sat me down at the end of spring training. They're like, "Hey, so we think your four seam fastball is horrible." They're like, "You should never throw that again." I was like, "What?" Like I never had like a 100 mile an hour like fastball, but
Yeah.
I was good. Like I could throw a lot of strikes, and I was good with it. And they said, "No, we want you to throw a sinker instead." And they end up here. Let me grab a ball.
Yeah, he's got baseball.
They said we want you to throw. Oh yeah, they said they want me to throw a one seam. So one seam is right here, just in between the seams. You just kind of hurdle it like that, and they said we want you to throw it like this. And I'm like, sure. And I throw it, and I'm like, okay, like I can kind of make it move, but I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, all right, cool. Like you're gonna be here and extended. Like you'll be fine. You'll have some time to like figure this out, and then when you're ready, we'll send you out to affiliate. I'm like, all right, cool. The next day, one of my friends, Cody Bolton, he's up in Double A, blows out his knee, shagging fly balls, and they call me and they're like, Brad, can you drive to Altoona right now? I'm like, you got it. So I jumped in the car and I drove all the way up there. Yeah, I drove all the way up there. Was I think I missed opening day, and then I was there for the rest of the year. But it was daunting to be in that level, just because we missed a year. I'm now coming out of the bullpen. I'm now throwing a new pitch. Like it was a lot to try to figure out all at once. It was actually cool. My first strikeout in Double A is Adley Rutschman.
Oh, what a first strike.
Yeah, yeah. I got him sinker away, fouled it off, cutter in, yanked a foul, four seam fastball up and away. And it was wild too because I had never threw a ball with a lot of vert. That one pitch absolutely took off. That one pitch absolutely like just flew out of my hand. And I was like, all right, sweet.
So you're throwing over the top at this point, right? Like or
Yeah.
throwing kind of
I'm like low three quarters, yeah.
3/4. Okay. So you're in Altoona, you're doing well, I assume. And
Not really. I wasn't doing that
okay.
well.
Okay, well
Yeah.
that's news to me.
2021 was a struggle. It was I think I had like a 5.5 ERA. Like I was trying to figure it out. But it was part of the learning process. And then I fixed this one seam grip a little bit. I moved it to here, and I felt super comfortable with it, and I could get really good sink, so it stuck with me. And then I figured out how to sink the ball and ride the ball at the same time, and that has been a huge tool that I've used over the years to stay in pro ball.
So now you're not doing so well in Altoona, and you're going through the year. Like, what is your organization telling you? Like, hey, we need you to do this, or hey, we need you to do this, because I know each level has a coordinator. So are they talking to you at all? Like telling you like, hey, you're doing great, or hey, you're sucking, or whatever? Like, are they talking to you and saying what all you need to improve on? Like,
not a whole ton. Like it was, I would say in 2021, you go out, you have an outing, you make some mistakes, you try to learn from that and build off of it for the next one. I was trying to figure out how to throw harder. I was trying to figure out how to throw the sinker better. I was trying to figure out a lot of things. And you kind of just piece it together here bit by bit. There wasn't necessarily like any like one main goal I was heading towards. But to be completely honest, like 2021, my job was to eat innings. Like my job was just to go out there and help us get to the end of the game. I never really pitched in like leverage positions or anything like that, but I pitched when I pitched, and I tried to keep it as close as I could, and that's what my job was.
So 2021 ends, and then you're going into 2022. Was that when the arm slot thing happened, or were you like,
No.
I need to change something up?
No, 2022, going into the 22 season, like after 21, my job was to try to figure out how to get as much sink as possible and get as much ride as possible.
Okay.
And because of that, that was my big tool that I used all year. I threw a sinker with about 0 inches of vert, and then I threw a four seam with about 15 inches of vert, which isn't like a ton, but it was enough where it screwed guys up. Like, because I would throw sinker, and then I'd throw a four seam, and I'd get a punch out. I had like a super high punch out rate on that pitch too, and it really worked. And the club thought it was interesting, and they thought it was good, and they wanted me to keep using it. So yeah, so I mean that was most of 22. I pitched 1 month in AAA. I had one really horrible game. Other than that, though, I threw well at that level. But yeah,
Cool. Cool. So 22
yeah.
ends. Now you're into 23. So now we're coming into the off season of 2023. And then if I'm not mistaken, this is when it happens, right? Like this is no, I'm off.
Oh
This I am just
no. So I'll just jump straight to when I
yeah,
do drop down.
yeah.
I get to spring training in 23, hurt right away, fuck up my back, get healthy, rehab back, work my way, start the season. As the season starts, I'm starting my rehab. So I go to low A, rehab there, go to high A, rehab there for like 2 weeks, go to double A, do really well for like I would say a month and a half. I do awesome.
Yeah.
And then something happened to me where I was just like, I don't know if I love baseball anymore. Like this has been 3 years of me being in double A. Like, why am I doing this? What's going on here? Um, and then I finally like I really pray to God, like, you know what, I'm done. Like, do whatever you want to do with my life, whatever you choose, God. Like, I'm cool with it. Just let me know what you need me to do. I think 24 hours later, I was packing my car to go to AAA. Like it happened that quick. It was crazy. But I go to AAA. My first outing there, it's like I remember it's out, bloop, hit, home run. Next inning is out, bloop, hit, home run, and I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And I have another horrible outing in AAA, and I'm like, all right, whatever. We go on the road, we come back. I throw another inning, it goes fine. And the next morning we have a day game, so we're there at like 11 a.m. And our minor league coordinator John Baker's there, and he goes, "Hey, Brad, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm good. Like, what's going on?" He's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you later." I'm like, "Okay, like, what does that mean?" Like, I start freaking out.
Yeah.
And I say that to one of the older guys, and they're like, nah, he's just messing with you, dude. Like, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, sounds good. And I see him again before the game starts. I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? Can you just tell me? Like, I'm kind of freaking out. He's like, oh, no, you're fine, you're fine. It's just about your career. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what does that mean? And then, sure enough, I'm eating post game spread after the game, and then my manager sees me, pulls me over, he's like, "Hey, Bradley, we got to talk to you." I'm like, "Oh man," I'm like,
I'm getting
"Fuck," I'm like,
released.
"This is it."
You're sitting there thinking, I'm getting released.
Yeah.
But
Well, the only thing I'm thinking is like, you know what? I told God to like hurry this process along and get me out of here. So maybe he's listening and doing what I want to do. And they sit me down. They're like, "So, Brad, we think that we've seen enough, and you've reached the end of your rope in terms of the way you throw a ball, but we think that you might have a chance as a sidearm guy." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah." Like, "Yeah, we want you to throw sidearm." They're like, "Guys have done it and they've made it into the big leagues like that year." And I'm like, "Okay." They're like, "Yeah, we just don't think it's going to happen from where you're at. So like, we want you to go back to the GCL, go back to the beginning, practice it for a month, and then we're going to send you out to affiliate and we're going to see how it works." And I'm like, "Okay, sure. Sounds good." And I show up to the field the next day in Indy, and I throw a side from my sidearm slot, and I'm like, "All right, this isn't like terrible. I don't know where the ball's going, but like this isn't horrible." So we go, "Sure, like all right, yeah, let's do it. Let's give it a shot." So I moved down to Florida. I do it for a month. It goes okay. I go out to affiliate. I go to Greensboro, and I the first outing goes well. I get 3 outs. I'm like, there we go. I did it. I got 3 outs. Didn't give up a run. This is great. Next outing, I got 1 out, and the next outing after that, I got no outs. So I had 3 outings in my first week of throwing sidearm, and I had recorded 4 total outs.
yeah.
I was like, this is going horribly. Like, this is not it. Like, this is going to be so bad.
Usually how it goes. It's usually how it
Yeah,
goes, to be honest.
yeah. But then the next week, something happens. A starter gets hurt, and they look at me and they go, my manager in Greensboro sits me down and goes, Brad, how many pitches do you think you can throw from down there? I was like, excuse me, how many bullets do I got? And he's like, yeah, how many pitches can you throw? And I'm like, you can just leave me out there. I'll figure it out. I don't fucking know. He goes, all right, cool. He goes, cool, because you're starting tomorrow. So I'm thinking we're gonna live at you at like 55, 60. I was like, sounds good, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I go out there and I throw 3 scoreless innings to start the game. And before the game, I prayed to God. I was just like, hey, like this is totally up to you. Whatever you want to happen happens right now. So I gave it, I put it in the Lord's hands, and He helped me out big time. And because I had that outing, that built all of my confidence going into the off season. And I quickly learned like I need a lot of practice. I need a lot of reps with this, and I need to really just commit myself 100% to it. So I threw 3 bullpens a week the entire off season. I didn't take a break from throwing at all. Um, I think it ended up being like 45 bullpens or something like that. And I was getting up to 91. I was throwing everything for strikes. I was doing everything I needed to do, and it put me in a really good spot to come to camp this year and do well.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the whole like transition, were you ever just like, this is not gonna go well? Like, did you ever have any doubt being like, yeah, this is not gonna go well? Because I know you had mentioned it earlier, but like it's not as easy as people think it is, and it's not as easy as like you or I make it look sometimes. And getting your body in that position is not normal. It's not a normal thing for people to do. Like it can happen, but it's really abnormal to be throwing from, let's see, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you throw from 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, like, that's just not normal. So like did you ever have
Yeah.
where you was just like, I don't know how I can do this?
Yeah, every day. I
Yeah.
had no idea what I was doing. I was like, this is insane. Doesn't make any sense at all. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Uh, but I kept at it, and I stayed committed to it. And really the turning point of I got to give credit to Mark Fisher, who is my coach over at Tread. He's been phenomenal. Um, and I got to give credit to Scott Efros, who's a sidearm guy with the Yankees. Um, I had a friend of mine that I train with in the off season. He connected me to Scott. He's like, "Hey, Scott had a transition from throwing over the top to throwing, oh, excuse me, to throwing sidearm. He's a great resource. Like, you guys should talk." And sure enough, I call Scott Efros, who's in the big leagues with the Yankees, and I talked to him, and he's like, "Hey, like, what's going on? Tell me about everything." And I told him about it, and he was like, "Well, this is what I did," and he kind of laid out like the key things he started to focus on and how that really changed things for him. And sure enough, I had bounced from like I was 83, 85, and then I'd be like 88, 85, and I'd kind of bouncing through those ranges. And then after that conversation, and then by continuing to work with Mark, my coach over at Tread, I am fucking sitting in bullpens in the off season. I was sitting like 88, 90. It was
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But I was like I was working a job too, so I would have to get there uh, at 8 a.m. to throw a bullpen, and I'd be there fucking blasting Metallica, screaming, getting fired up, going
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it all worked out, and the people that worked at the gym loved it, and they thought I was insane, but
Awesome.
it was well worth it. Yeah.
So you were working a job. So what were you doing? What were you doing? Were you selling insurance or what?
I was working as an intern for the MLBPA, which I've done a
Oh,
lot of work
sick.
with. Yeah,
Sick. Yeah.
I've done a lot of work with the PA. I helped get that minor league union process underway, and I helped do a lot of the CBA negotiations when we did that 2 years ago. So I've been pretty involved with that stuff. And then they offered me an internship. They're like, we need someone to do this. You're in the New York City area, so we'd like you to do it. So my schedule literally was Monday, go to the gym, throw a bullpen, work out, be home by 12, work on my laptop from 12 to 5, get on my scooter, take my scooter to the train, take the train into the city, stay at my girlfriend's place, wake up in the morning, work 9 to 5, get back on the train after work, go home, throw into a cement wall, lift in this tiny little gym, and then go right to bed, wake up immediately the next morning and go back and do the workout, work 12 to 5, same thing. So I would do 12 to 5, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then in the office 9 to 5, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it was basically like wake up, lift, work, wake up, work, lift, and like back to back to back and over and over and over again. And it was nuts. It was a lot of work, no play, but it's well paid off.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is nuts. So my little 2 part-time jobs aren't really that anything. But wow, that's
absolutely, man. That's still something. It's still a lot of work.
That is crazy. So where are you at now? Where are you at as far as the rehab process? Because I know you had mentioned rehab. So are you like feeling good, feeling great? I lost you. Hold on. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm feeling much better. So I mean, you got me? All right.
Yeah.
No, like I showed up to camp. I did really well. On the minor league side of things, I crushed it. When I got asked to back up big league games, I did screw up those opportunities, which that really hurt, because then it's a great opportunity to showcase your stuff to the big league staff. But I go to Double A to start the year. I do really good there for the first 3 weeks. And then I get promoted up to Triple A. I go to Triple A. I'm there for like a week and a half. I throw twice. I do really great one time. I do not great the other time because I was just gassed at that point. But then the next week we go to Louisville to go play a series there, and I tear my oblique in practice before the game. So then I was pretty much hurt ever since then. That was May 7th. Jeez. So I spent the next month in Indy trying to rehab it, hoping it wasn't anything serious. We got imaging. It was serious. So I had to come down here. But ever since I've been down here, like it's been nothing but green lights so far. I'm throwing bullpens. The stuff is almost back to where it was before I got hurt. I face hitters on Friday, and then it's just going to be more of a build up, and then probably after the All-Star break, I'll be hopefully making a rehab assignment somewhere, and then we'll go from there, and hopefully I go to Indy, and hopefully I can help that club win some ball games and have some fun.
Awesome.
I really hope y'all enjoyed that episode with Brad Case. I know I had a ton of fun talking to him and really just hearing his story. So if you guys could stay tuned for all of our content that we have coming out, and for all of the episodes that we have coming out, I'm sure y'all are gonna enjoy that. If you guys want to check out Brad's podcast called The Minor League Take, I'll have all of those links in the description down below, and y'all can go check him out. He does a fantastic job. And as always, thank y'all for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And peace.